So, welcome to another fantastic episode of My Orgasmic Life. I am your hostess with the mostest, Gaia Morrissette. And on today's show, I want to talk about, people keep asking me to weigh in on the coronavirus and sexuality and you know, how to keep things sexy. And so I'm going to start off by saying I'm not an expert on this virus. So I'm not going to actually weigh into the logistics of safe sex in the relation to this virus, what you should or shouldn't be doing, because that's not my expertise. All right. So, but what I am going to do is talk about some of the places in which we can, you know, find some more sexiness, explore our own sexuality, you know, so that's what we're going to drop into today. Okay. So again, I'm not an expert in the field. I'm the expert in the field of sex, but I'm not an expert in the field of this virus. So I'm not going to weigh in on that piece of it. You know, however, that being said, you know, it's kind of like safe sex. You know, we all, the different degrees of risk and responsibility, and it's the same thing with, you know, safe sex. So, okay. All right. So during this epidemic, we are, you know, being challenged with how do we have sexuality. Like this is a great opportunity for us to kind of redefine what is sex, what is sexuality, which kind of excites me because our traditional sort of, you know, kissing, groping, penetration, orgasm, falling asleep system doesn't really work for me. And it really doesn't support pleasure-filled, epic, orgasmic life, okay? So first of all, let's start with all of you single people who have nobody to have sexual activity with because we're in social distancing and social isolation right now. Don't worry. It's okay. Doesn't mean that you're not getting any. So here's some creative ways in which, you know, I want to talk about how we can take this time and this opportunity to do some really deep understanding of who we are as sexual beings. So one of the foundational teachings that I move from is that we need to have a hot, wild, crazy, kinky sex life with ourselves. And right now is a great time. We have lots of time and opportunity to like really lean into this part. So that we can move from the traditional, typical, no, it's not traditional, typical, you know, self-love, self-exploration, masturbation, whacking off sessions typically are get in, get out, don't mess my hair do. And it's all about we're going for the orgasmic goal or the ejaculation goal. And so here's a great opportunity to expand your sexual practices with yourself beyond that, beyond just get in, get out, don't mess my hair do. And there's tons of different ways that we can explore this. So first of all, let's see, which one do I want to start with? I think I might do a bunch of little tidbits, a bunch of different shows around this because each one is. So let's start with Orgasmic Pattern. Here's a great opportunity while you're not actually having, you know, sexy time with others because of, you know, quarantines and social distancing. This is a great opportunity for you to change up your orgasmic patterning. So let's talk about what is orgasmic patterning. Orgasmic patterning is the pattern in which you achieve either that you achieve orgasm. And it's important for all penis owners to understand there's a difference between thank you for the people who are watching me live, for all the loves and the thumbs up, and I love you all and all the awesome comments. Okay, where was I? Oh, orgasmic pattern. Okay, penis owners. So it's really important for you to understand the difference between having an ejaculation and having an orgasm. They are not the same thing. they happen simultaneously often, so we assume that they're the same thing, but they're not. So when I talk about ejaculation, I'm going to talk about ejaculation. If I'm going to talk about orgasm, I'm going to talk about orgasm. Those are two different things. Okay? And if you're like, what? Go listen to my podcast. I'm pretty sure I have a couple episodes around ejaculation mastery, and you can explore all of that. All right? So, orgasmic pattern. So this pattern which you have created typically happens the very first time you have an orgasmic release in your body, a genital orgasmic release. And whatever you were thinking about, whatever location you were in, whatever your body position was, this kind of anchors into your neural pathways of your brain. And when this pathway is now 100% the pathway that your brain wants to choose, your body wants to choose the next time you go to have an orgasm. And then when that happens, it creates a little deeper groove in your brain. Now, what happens is that then it becomes, that groove in your brain becomes so rigid, it becomes the only way that you can have an orgasmic release. If you are thinking about the same thing, your body's doing the right, is in the exact same position. So we got body position, stroke and sensations. So we got sensations, location, body. So we got our body position, our physical location, and we're happening stimulation, mental stimulation. So we got mental stimulation, physical sensations, body positioning, and location. Okay, so those are your 4 ingredients to your orgasmic pattern. And so, for example, I've done a lot of work around this, so I can have lots of different orgasmic patterns. So it gives me lots of orgasmic possibilities. Because when you only have one orgasmic pattern, this interferes in being able to explore and experience all the orgasmic possibilities, number one. Number two, it interferes in necessarily being able to experience this with your partner or partners, depending on your lifestyle. And so it limits you. It's like your sex is kind of like, versus your sex is being like, oh. All right. So this is a great opportunity while we're in this place of, social isolation and social distancing to do some work on yourself, do some work on changing up your orgasmic patterning. By changing up your orgasmic patterning while you're whacking off, this will help you to create some new neural pathways, which will help you create some new orgasmic patterns, which will help you create some new orgasmic possibilities with yourself as well as with others when we are able to explore with others again. Okay, so how do you do this? Well, you want to pick one of those 4 things and change it up. Don't change all 4 things up. You're going to pick one and change it up. Now, the key ingredient is that so here's an example. Let's pick location. So if you typically masturbate and have your orgasm in the bathroom, then you're going to go do it in the bedroom or in the living room or wherever it is that consensually you are not violating anybody else's space. Okay, that's important. All right. And what you're going to do is you're going to just start. Location is an easy one to start. So you're going to do all the same things. Think the same things that you normally think, same pressure, sensations, same physical positioning. You're going to do all that stuff, but you're just going to do it in a different location. And you're going to do that 2 or 3 times. Then you can move on to changing up your body position. And, if you usually lay on your back with your legs together and your head's arched, then I recommend trying to do it sitting up. If you do it on your stomach, try, that you're laying flat on your stomach, then try, on all fours. Try standing up, try sitting down, try laying on your side, try all these sort of different body positions with your legs. If your legs are usually together, open them up and do them apart. Now, the key is that you want to set a timer. So if you typically, whatever your typical masturbation session is, till you achieve and experience an orgasmic release, whatever that typical time frame is, that's the time frame that you want to put in to doing changing up. Now, the thing is, this is the most important piece of this whole conversation. When you are changing your orgasmic pattern, the likelihood of you actually having an orgasmic release, which, by the way, is a build up of pleasure. So you're building pleasure, and then orgasm is a happy byproduct of it. Okay, so we're not dropping into goal oriented here. All right, we're dropping into building sensations and experiences and pleasure, and surrendering to that pleasure and letting it build. Okay. Now, if when you're doing an orgasmic pattern shift and change, and you don't happen to experience an orgasmic release in your body, do not go back to your old ways. Okay, so what you need to do is do the length of time that you would normally do. If you do not have an orgasmic release at that point, no biggie. You're going to stop what you're doing, and then you're going to go do something else for a half an hour. And then you can come back to your old ways. That's fine. That pattern will never leave you. You will have that pattern till the end of time, okay? So don't worry about losing that pattern. Okay. But you absolutely 100% do not want to go to the old pattern when you're trying to change the new pattern, even if you're frustrated, because your body and your mind, you're creating a new neural pathway. So if you go back to the old way, you ruin that new neural pathway. Okay? So important. Stop if you don't experience it in the time frame that you would normally masturbate during masturbation time, then you need to kind of step away for half an hour, then you can come back and finish it up if you want in your old ways. But you want to make sure that you try that thing, whatever the interrupt that you're doing, the new change that you're doing, you want to try it, I would say, 2 to 4 times before you just be like, that's not really my thing. Right? Now you got some masturbation homework. You're like, I'm so bored, I don't know what to do. I'm tired of watching the same part. I'm tired of whacking off the same way. It's like, oh my God, I need some variety. This is what you're going to create, some variety. You're going to do some training. Look at it this way. Our brains and our bodies and our orgasmic possibilities and our pleasure possibilities that we get to have need training. It's just like when we work out, we train our bodies and our minds, our brains and our muscles to work as the way that we want them to do, and we strengthen them, all that kind of stuff. Well, so is sex. Sex is all about training. It's all about training. Training your brain, training your mind, training your body, training. So take this opportunity to up your game and do some training during this, epidemic where you got nothing to do. Okay. So over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to do little bits of different things that you can, keeping it sexy. All right. During, the coronavirus here, how do we keep it sexy? So right now, your first challenge is start changing up your orgasmic pattern. That should keep you entertained for a while. Right. Also, you're really bored and you're like, I'm so bored. And you're like, this is a great opportunity and a fantastic time to learn. And wouldn't you know, I have some spectacular courses, online courses, in all the different areas of sex, relationship, different styles of relationship, BDSM, Tantra, and I just launched the epic program, if I do say so. It's not even a course, it's a program. That's how epic it is, called Sexual Skill Building, the nuts and bolts of sex. And this is like, it is a foundation. Like, if you really want to be sexy and you really want to have an epic sex life, both with yourself and with others, when it's safe to have sex with others, that program, whew, it's epic. And I know that you're like, well, of course you have to say that because it's you created it. But if you know me, I don't do anything half-assed. So if I say it's epic, it is epic. All right. So go explore, go change some orgasmic patterning. Remember, there's so much to be explored and learned about your body and about sexuality during this time of social isolation and social distancing. This is a great opportunity because usually we're distracted. We're too busy. You know, in our relationships, we're too busy at work. We're too busy, you know, doing all of this stuff. So this is a great opportunity. Now, if you're like, yeah, but we have kids and there's people at the house and there's, you know, people all around and all that kind of stuff, don't worry. You can change up when you are masturbating, because you're still masturbating. Come on. We know you are. You're just doing it more subtle and quieter, okay? So instead of looking at locations and body positions, how about you change up what you're thinking about? Expand your spank bank, all right? And I will talk about that in, you know, one of the upcoming episodes. We'll drop into your spank bank and what you think and how we can push your, you know, limits and expand your repertoire. Okay, so stay tuned to that. All right, that's it. That's all. You want to spend more time with me, which of course you do. You can find me on all the social media platforms under Gaia Morrissette, and for all your BDSM needs, you can find me under empressgaia.com. You can find me at succulentliving.com for all your sexual wellness needs. And don't forget to download my my app, my Myorgasmic Life app. This is my podcast app, so that you can always have me all the time. So while you're, you know, you can be listening to me while you're, you know, getting shit done. You can be learning and laughing, maybe crying, depending on what I'm talking about. Oh, download the app. You can get the app at Google Play Store. Let's see, what else do I want to tell you? Oh, this episode was brought to you by Tickle.life, which is one of my sponsors. Hee hee. And don't forget to check out, I'm a host of Tickle.life's podcast. And that podcast is very fun. I interview experts on finding out about their sex lives and their relationships. So I find out all the juicy personal details of their lives. So that's definitely, for all of you voyeurs, that is definitely an enjoyable podcast. So it's Tickle.life podcast. All right. I love you all. I'll see you in our next episode. Mwah. Stay safe. Explore. Expand your masturbation practice. Bye-bye.